podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, March 29th, 2020. This is episode 1682. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from Twit's sterile LastPass studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple. Check it out at lastpass.com/twit to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk, tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, smart listeners like you. If you want to talk high tech, I'm here for you. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still call, but you have to go through a little bit of extra hassle, man. You have to use Skype out or something like that to make the call. And then it should be toll-free. Anywhere in the world. I'd love to hear from people all over the world. We're all in this together. This tech thing. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. We do have a website. Of course we do. It's a tech show. The way to get to the website, just go to techguylabs.com. The beauty of the website is there's no charge, there's no sign up, there's no nothing. It's just wide open like it used to be in the good old days before the internet got all those paywalls and the sign-ups and gathering all your information and all that stuff. techguylabs.com. That's the place to go. How's quarantining going for you? Are you stuck inside? Well, I'll keep you company. We all are. That's okay. It's working. It's doing its job, slowing the thing down, which is good. And fortunately, we've got technology to keep us company. I think that I've said this before, it would be a lot harder if we didn't have Zoom and FaceTime and Skype and all the tools of the modern era. It's kind of amazing, the timing. And are your kids doing the distance learning? Are they doing the homeschool thing where the teachers are the teachers are learning all these skills too, the skills that I've been doing streaming. It's going to be our 15th anniversary next month of starting my podcast network, This Week in Tech, or Twit. And we've been streaming video. I think we didn't do it right away, but we started, the first few years to stream the video. So I've been doing this for a long time, awfully long time. And so if you have questions about that, I know a little bit about that. It's great, though. I see a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of bloggers. Scott Hanselman, who's a great Microsoft guy, blogger and YouTuber, posted on his blog some really good stuff about what cameras to use and what technologies to use. Zoom is kind of is buried by this. They were the company most people had used in business before for video conferencing, so they got the brunt of the action, and of course it buried them. And then, people got a little mad at them because it turned out on iOS that they were sending information to Facebook about what you were doing, even if you weren't a Facebook member. They've knocked that off. They've updated their iOS app. That's one of those things that nobody paid any attention to when it was just kind of this business conferencing tool. But now that we're all using it a lot, people are a little more serious about it. It is going to be an interesting confrontation between privacy advocates and health authorities, because more and more authorities, the CDC, state, even city authorities, are using location data to help plan response to the pandemic. And in fact, in some countries like China, and I think Italy too, they're monitoring who you're with, what you're doing. You can even get a report in China anyway, from an app saying who you've encountered, and getting a warning if any of them end up being tested positive for COVID-19. They'll say, you were with this person 3 days ago, you should quarantine. And in a way, that's a pretty amazing thing. That's a good thing, but it's also a little scary, right? What do you think? Should we? Maybe we should do this now, but make sure that we stop doing it once the danger has passed. And yet, as good as that sounds, you know, no government is going to give up that capability. Once they've got it, they'll just say, well, we got to be ready for the next time. And it's handy to keep an eye on you, you know, just in case. Microsoft says a 775% increase in use of cloud services in those areas where social distancing is going on. 775%. That's a lot. Teams and other Microsoft tools for conferencing have been a little bit hit by this, but you know, they're building capacity as fast as they can. In fact, YouTube in the many places in the world, I think in the U.S. even, has now defaulted to a lower quality video to try to preserve the internet. We're all home watching a lot of TV. In fact, that seems to be the #1 thing now people exchange the information when you talk to somebody. I know my mom wants to know what's good on Netflix, right? What should I be watching? And actually, now's not a bad time because there's a lot of stuff. Boy, people are going crazy over Tiger King. Have you watched that? That's a wild documentary, literally about wild cats. So there's a lot of that. You see a lot of that on Twitter and other places. The good news is a number of shows that people love to watch have wrapped before the shelter-in-place orders, the quarantine orders. The Crown, I just read. We're all waiting for the next season of The Crown. I don't know if you watched that on Netflix. Amazing. We love the royals. Love watching those stories. Fortunately, they finished shooting right before this happened. So they've got the next episode, the next series of Crown they're working on. Billions is going to come out in May, I guess. They've got that done. But most of the other productions, movie and TV, they've stopped. So I don't know. What is the lag? Is it a year? Is it 9 months? There's going to be a dearth of stuff in about a year. So save some for the future. You know, don't eat all your candy at once. Keep some aside. China has actually made a proposal which is difficult. They want to redo the internet with something they call new IP. IP is the backbone of the internet protocol. And they have a new plan for IP that they're doing with Huawei. In fact, they're doing it with a guy in California who's the head of Huawei's research arm, FutureWay. And the chief feature of this new thing is, well, you can probably imagine, the ability, they call it shut up mode, the ability to cut off anybody or any service from communicating with the outside world. Of course, an authoritarian government would love that. Oh, yeah, we can shut them up. They say something we don't like. Shut them up. I'm hoping that this proposal, which has to be approved by the International Telecommunications Union, is a non-starter. I'm thinking it is. I'm hoping it is. But I mention it just so you're aware of it. You can keep an eye on that. Google Classroom, which wasn't in the top 100 most popular apps on Android until now, at the start of March, 50 million new installs, top 5 app in the United States, because everybody's going to school at home using Google Classroom. Some companies are benefiting from it. You know who's not? The Detroit Auto Show. We'll talk to Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, in a few minutes. But not only have they called off the Detroit Auto Show, they're putting a hospital in the facility where it was going to be held because they need it. But you know, I kind of feel like, okay, fine. It's not the end of the world, is it? Google's developer conference, Google I/O, which originally was going to be streamed. Now they say we can't even do that. That's it. It's over. We're not going to do it. Canceled. That was for May. Microsoft Build, their developer conference, now going to be streamed. Watch. See what happens. Think they'll do it in May? E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, the gaming show, canceled. Some stuff's being moved, like the Tokyo Olympics, to next year, but a lot of stuff may just disappear from the face of the earth. Wouldn't that be weird? 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I would love to talk to you about tech. That's what I'm here for. You know, and we don't have to mention any virus stuff. This is our time just to get together and talk. Anything on your mind. Although if you want, I can help you with it's really a great thing for family. We've been doing a lot of FaceTime. I do FaceTime with my mom. My daughter is an Android user, so we do Google's Duo. That's awesome. I've been taking exercise classes streaming over the internet. That's better than nothing. 8888 Ask Leo. I am here for you, baby. Yes, sir. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. There you have it. No, it's not worked. You guys are so funny. You hate it when that clock's not there, don't you? Actually, our editors do, too. Kevin DM'd me yesterday and said, I need the clock because that's how I know where my segments are. Okay. Okay, it's back. Look at that. See? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the lovely, the talented, the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. You know what?
What?
Kimmy don't take no Schaffer.
Oh.
You gotcha. Hello, Kim. Hello,
nugget of
Kim.
knowledge. Hi.
No nuggets here. Nothing here. So, are the streets empty when you
Pretty empty.
Tootle in? Yeah.
Pretty empty.
It was interesting. I have a window to the parking lot, and the Petaluma, our local town police, are patrolling the parking lots.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
They patrolled all the parking lots around here, and I think what they're doing is giving tickets to businesses that are not non-essential but open.
Do they know what you are? Do they know?
They don't know what I am. No one, not even my mother knows what I am.
See, all of my radio friends are carrying around this document in their cars.
You're kidding. This says we're essential?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I have a screenshot of it on my phone that I'll be
Nobody's
like,
going to ask you. You just say, I work at a radio station and I'm going to work.
I did my first Zoom last night, so that was exciting.
So what do you think? Now, the hot thing, it's so funny. People have discovered that you could change your background in Zoom.
Do you have to have a premium edition to do that? Because I will definitely be doing that tonight.
I don't
for
know.
My happy hour.
That's an interesting. Yeah, it's in the it's in the settings.
Screen?
No, you can if you have a green screen that does an even better job, but you don't because it just looks and sees what's not moving behind you. And you can they come with 3 pictures, which I've seen a lot of because everybody just uses those. But you can put any image in there. So what you should do is go out and find an image of you in the bar. Behind the bar, and then your happy hour, you'd be, right in place.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
That'll be my project.
Yeah. Scooter X has put up a link in our chat room because he is the king of Google. Okay. And he's found the Zoom Rooms customized background.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, and so we'll put that in the show notes if you want to do that.
Sweet.
It does look like you might you might need a paid account to do that. We have a paid account because we use it at work. And you can use it for free. There's also open source solutions like Jitsi, Jitsi, which I think is very good and you don't have to pay for. And so if Zoom is giving you headaches, there are other solutions. Google Hangouts, that's good too.
Yep.
So who should I talk to first?
How about John in St. Petersburg, Florida?
Dr. Mom says she doesn't have a paid account and she changes her background all the time.
Oh, very good to know.
So you can do that, Kim.
I might be on a beach.
Yeah. Be on a beach with a coronavirus beer. No, wait a minute. That's the wrong beer. Hi, John in St. Petersburg. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, I have to push a button.
Oh.
Yes, there you are. Hi, John.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. How are things
at St.
How are things at St. Pete?
Oh, they're good. I mean, it's relatively quiet.
Good.
Not a lot of people out and about, but things seem to be, I don't know, as normal as they can be.
That's good. Glad to hear it.
Stay safe. Really appreciate your show. I'm a relatively new listener, but since I found you, I've learned a lot. So,
hey, thank you.
Great show.
I appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
So I've been kind of helping my parents upgrade their technology a little bit. I helped them install a Nest Hello doorbell.
Nice.
Some smart devices throughout the house, backyard camera, then, making sure everything can all talk to each other.
Older parents really appreciate that because they can keep an eye on things. Somebody comes to the doorbell, they don't have to rush to the door to see who it is. It's a really nice feature. I have the Hello doorbell myself, and if you have a Nest Hub Max, one of the Google devices with a screen, it'll say, someone's at the door and show a picture of them and stuff. And I know my mom, I keep saying I'm going to do this for her, but I have to fly out there to do it because I have to install it and all that. And I know she'd appreciate that. She doesn't like to get up if she doesn't want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, well, I've been helping them do it over the phone, and it is kind of hard to help install stuff when I'm not there.
Yeah, because you need a drill and stuff. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And one of the side effects of that I didn't expect is now I'm tech support.
Yes, there was a great article in the New York Times how to set your family up with gadgets without becoming their tech support.
Exactly.
It's what we all are dealing with.
Right. So running into a Wi-Fi issue now.
Of course, yeah, because you're giving it more to do. Yeah.
Right. So all the devices are in the Google universe, and they gave us a good deal on their new Nest Mesh system.
Yeah.
So, I did the setup with my mom over the phone.
Oh, boy.
The best we could.
Oh, Lord.
And really...
Oh, man.
I think the setup went okay, but really what it was is they have an old gateway. It's the modem router combo.
Oh,
CenturyLink.
Right.
And so really we just, set up the new mesh and just plugged it into the back of that. But, the old gateway's still pumping out the old Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're double natting, and your Wi-Fi's are conflicting. So yes, what you want to do and what Mom needs to do is log into the CenturyLink router modem combo. It'll have a web interface. You probably could find this online. It'll be something like 192.168.1.0 or something like that. And you'll need a password. They probably never changed it, so it'll probably be whatever the CenturyLink default is, admin and blank or admin, or I don't know what it is. You'll have to look that up. Once they're in, there's a couple of things they want to do. They want to turn off Wi-Fi because it will conflict. There's no reason to have both things doing Wi-Fi. They also, if they can, and I think they can, turn off something called DHCP. That's the network configuration protocol that tells every device, the doorbell and the computers, what IP address, local IP address they have. You only want one device doing that. You're doing something called double NAT, it's network address translation, and that's never a good thing. It's not the end of the world. Neither one is the end of the world, but if you're having trouble, you need to get into that modem and disable those two things, and it should all get better. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, we also have, again, Scooter X with his magic fingers has found a article for Plume, which is not the same Wi-Fi you've got, but Plume is another system where you want to disable the CenturyLink stuff, and there's an article that describes how to do that. So we'll put that in the show notes at techguylabs.com. But
okay, great.
Yeah, because that's what she has to do. She has to disable Wi-Fi on the CenturyLink Wi-Fi modem, and she has to disable DHCP. In other words, let the Google Home do everything, and it'll do a better job of it, frankly.
Right. Okay. Great. Thanks for your help.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Thanks for doing that for your folks. I think we're all kind of in that boat right now, helping friends and family get things going. Man. If it's an Action Tech router, log into the GUI. It's 192.168.0.1. The browser, the login username and password are on the back of the router or may have been provided by CenturyLink. Click on Wireless Setup, Basic Settings. Under Wireless Radio, switch to Disable. If it's a Technicolor router, same thing, 192.168.0.1, Wireless Setup, Disable Wireless Radio State. They don't mention turning off DHCP, but you do want to do that. You want to put it in what's called bridge mode. And if you can't, you could put the Google in bridge mode, but it's better. The Google does a better job of DHCP than the Action Tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. We're having a little trouble getting Sam in the Motor City. Normally we'd have Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, on right now. We're going to keep trying. If we can get him, I'll bring him up onto the show. Meanwhile, I'll continue taking calls. Susie, Los Angeles. Hi, Susie. Hello, Susie. She didn't expect to be picked up right now because she thought we'd be talking about cars. I'll put Susie on hold, and we'll go on to Brian in Tulia, Texas. Hey, Brian.
Hello, Leo.
Hey.
Big fan here.
Thank you. Where's Tulia? Am I saying that right?
Tulia, yes. I'm between Amarillo and Lubbock in the Texas Panhandle.
Nice. Okay. Small town?
Yes, very small town.
Nice. How are things in Tulia?
Well, we're getting by here. We have one grocery store, so they're open.
It feels like the Last Picture Show to me. You still have a movie theater in Tulia?
No, I think that one's closed.
Yeah.
It hasn't been for a while.
Yeah. Population of 5,000 people on Route 87.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
What I did is I bought a business, and I'm converting it into a home.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And what the problem is it used to be a business. It was a restaurant for a while, and they still have a Facebook account that still shows the place open. And what happens is people drive up. Now I managed to get Google to remove it.
Yeah, I was going to say there's two places you can be listed, or two very popular. There's actually more than that because there's Yelp as well. There's Google, Yelp, and then there's Facebook. So you were able to get the Google listing down.
I was able to report that as an issue, and I sent them a picture, and a couple of days later they removed it. But I don't have any idea how to do that on Facebook. I've looked all over their pages. I'm not a member of Facebook, so maybe there's a way to
That's
do that.
the problem. Jeez, I hate Facebook.
And you know, it's their last posting on there. If you want me to give you, the business name where it was listed?
Sure, yeah, I don't care if you don't mind.
Well, it was called Time Out Bar and Grill.
Nice.
And if you look,
did you keep the bar in the living room?
Well, kind of.
That'd be kind of cool.
Before that, it was a radio station.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
that's really interesting.
But,
so you're right. This is something that you would do because that page was created by the Time Out Bar and Grill.
Yes, sir.
Themselves on Facebook, right? So this is something you would need their account to delete.
And I have no way to do that.
Of course
now,
not.
One of the postings on there says, we've closed, but it still shows to be open. And I've had people drive up, they're following their Facebook recommendations and looking for a place to eat here, and it shows it's open. Of course, nobody's been updating it for a couple of years. So they drive right up and hop out and walk up on my porch.
I want a drink. I want a drink and a hamburger. Wow.
And, I don't mind that so much when I'm here, but if I'm not here, I don't think I want people, wandering up around my property.
Oh, I completely understand. Although you might meet some interesting people. The way Facebook says to do it is log into your business, your Facebook for Business Manager account and delete it. This is probably a good tip for any business that's shutting down. You might want to do that. You can go to facebook.com/business even without a Facebook account and just file a request. Just say this business has been closed for years. It helps that they put up a posting on the page saying we're gone, because then, because you understand what part of Facebook's issue is they don't want people coming along closing real businesses out of spite.
Yes.
So it'll be helpful that they have put that up there at least. So Facebook, if the Facebook person, and remember, Facebook has 2.5 billion active users, and so getting anything done by Facebook might take some persistence. But you can log in to Facebook for Business without a Facebook account. I don't have one either. And you can then go to their help page and say, I want to delete an expired business. But that's an interesting conundrum. You can do it with Google. You just send them a note. You can do it with Yelp. You just send them a note. But Facebook, a lot of what Facebook does is designed to get you into the Facebook ecosystem. Oh, you could do that if you only had a Facebook account.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. Especially just not for that reason. But,
yeah. No, I don't have. I killed my Facebook account a long time ago because I feel I don't fully trust them. So if you go to, I think this is what you have to do is go to facebook.com/business and just file a report and say, look, there should be a way to report an out of.
I didn't see any way on there to contact them other than sign up. It just keeps wanting me to sign up.
There you go. Don't do it. Don't give in. Don't give in. There is a help center, facebook.com/business/help. But I'm taking it. You probably looked all the way through there. Let's see. Maybe if we can report a closed business. That would be report a closed business. That would be what you'd want to do. But it would be a shame if you can't. No, they don't. This is ridiculous. I don't know. That's a great question.
Apparently, this is a thing. I believe, I'm not the first one to do it.
Oh, I bet you aren't.
And but the problem is, like I said, the previous owners didn't close out or delete that account, so
right.
It's still there.
There must be somewhere a way to leave a message for Facebook moderators and say, look, this is a closed business. There's got to be a way to report that, for crying out loud. Crying out loud.
Well, like I said, it's not a huge problem, except that people have driven up here, and they may do that now even more. I don't know.
If you go to the business page and select edit, the problem is you can't do that if you don't have an account, I think. Maybe get somebody with a Facebook page to do this for you, because you can report the business closed. The problem, according to our chat room, is that they will then send an email to the email associated with that account saying, are you really closed? And, of course, if they took off, how long has it been closed for?
More than a year.
Probably that email address is gone, too.
I would assume, yeah. This was an unusual circumstance, and they're, as far as I know, they're out of the picture now.
So tell me the name again. Time Out Bar and Grill. In Tulia, and it's in Tulia?
Yes.
Tulia, Texas. Okay, you got about 1 million people listening right now. We're all going to go to that page and report it as a closed business. I bet you tomorrow it'll be gone.
That would be great.
I don't want to encourage this. There must be another way to do it. Hey, I'm glad to help you, Brian. You're the first one to ask.
Thank you very much, Leo.
You're welcome. Enjoy. So, what did you keep the grill? I hope you kept the fry maker.
No, I had to get rid of some of that stuff, but I have had friends over and they've enjoyed playing bartender.
What a party! You have one of them shuffle puck things? Those are great.
No, I'm working on a horseshoe pit and
perfect.
And maybe a video game or two.
You could do like Billy Bob's does and have one of them mechanical bulls in there. That'd be great.
There you go.
Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Stay safe. All right. Hey, we got Sam on the line. Sam Abuelsamid. We were afraid he went the way of the Detroit Motor Show and was shut down, but no, he's here, and so we're gonna get him on after the next break. So we will talk about the technology of cars in just a little bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your calls 8888. Ask Leo. Always welcome. Hello, Sammy.
Hey, Leo, I wish Skype would go the way to the Detroit Motor Show. It seemed to be working, and then when I went to answer the call, mic not detected, camera not detected, speakers not detected. It's like, what the?
So you rebooted, but that takes forever.
Yeah, I rebooted. I actually had to do it twice. The first time I did it, came up the same way. Skype came up the same way. Second time, I actually shut it all the way down instead of just doing a restart, and then started it back up again, and then it worked fine. So
Good.
I don't know. I'm going to have to uninstall Skype and reinstall it after we're done today.
Yeah. So the entire chat room now has reported that place closed. So Facebook's getting hundreds of reports that the Time Out Bar and Grill in Tulia, Texas is closed. I think they'll probably close it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And my favorite lowrider is here, all the way from the Motor City. Sam Abuelsamid, he's a principal researcher at Navigant Research, has worked for all three of the big three, I think, right? Car makers.
No, I never worked for Fiat Chrysler.
Aw. And he is.
I worked on Fiat Chrysler programs as a supplier, but I never actually worked at Fiat Chrysler.
That counts.
Yeah, close enough.
He's also at Wheel Bearings, the Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media. Hey, what was going on between the president and GM this week? Do we know the truth of that one?
Where
he
Mr.
said that
truth rarely has anything to do with it.
He said that GM refused to make ventilators, so he invoked the Defense Production Act and forced them to.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
GM has been working with a number of suppliers and with a number of their suppliers and a company called Ventec, and basically trying to get everything lined up so they can actually do it. I mean,
you can't just turn a switch and take a assembly line and make it stop making cars and start making ventilaters.
Yeah, I mean, you have to line up, all the vendors of the parts, figure out, what's your manufacturing process going to be. Yeah. And of course, somebody's got to pay for this stuff.
Right.
And so, they were working with FEMA, trying to figure out, okay, how many do you need? How's it going to get paid for? And it's just a mess.
It's a mess.
But
the point is
at the federal level.
Their point is that all three of the big three automakers are cooperating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I feel bad because GM's going to get a bad rap. People are going to remember, oh, they didn't help or they didn't want to help. But that's not the case.
No, it's absolutely not true. I mean, in fact, virtually every manufacturer, every automaker is contributing in some way. They're either, in a lot of cases, they're working with their supply chains to try to help beef up the supply of components to the various manufacturers of this equipment. And we're talking about medical equipment here. It's not a trivial matter to make a ventilator.
No, you got to get FDA approval for one thing. It's not. You can't just crank them out and say, here they are.
Yeah.
Now, all right, I just wanted to clarify that. There is another story, of course, thanks to COVID-19, the Detroit Auto Show. Not only are they shutting that down, but they're turning the venue into a hospital. Yeah,
so they actually already did this with the Javits Center in New York, which was supposed to be the venue of the New York Auto Show, which was supposed to happen week after next. And that has already been turned into a FEMA field hospital. They started that this week. They just showed it, I think, on Thursday or Friday. So that's up and running now. And the TCF Center here in Detroit, the big convention center in Detroit, is also going to be turned into a field hospital to treat patients with COVID-19. Good. And so the auto show has been canceled for this year. They're going to resume next year, hopefully.
What's happening to auto races? Aren't we coming up to the big seasons, the NASCAR and Formula One seasons and all that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the seasons started before the outbreak happened. We had the 24 Hours of Daytona in January, the Daytona 500 at the beginning of February. I think we had a couple of NASCAR races before they had to shut down. And so all of the racing series, all the motorsports is shut down for now, for the time being. And some races have been rescheduled for later in the year. We'll see if those actually happen. Hopefully, things will settle down by then, and they can. But in the meantime, they are a number of this big series, IMSA, NASCAR, and IndyCar, are working with a platform called iRacing, which is an online racing simulation platform. So it's kind of like playing Gran Turismo online in a massively multiplayer environment. And
they're replacing the real life races with video games?
Yes. With a video game platform. And the thing is, in
fact,
most
right now
series,
on Fox and Fox Sports 1, they're doing races
They're doing a NASCAR race at a virtual version of Texas Motor Speedway. And
does it look like the real thing?
It does. It does. Because it's all simulated. They've got the camera angles. It looks like watching a real race.
Wow.
But I mean, not obviously, the graphics are not quite photorealistic, but it actually looks really good. I watched some of the IndyCar race yesterday from Watkins Glen, and some of the Sebring race that they ran last week. And in fact, last week, the NASCAR race they broadcast last week on Fox Sports 1 got better ratings than most of the recent real races. So this is actually turning out to be quite popular.
Does it look like Forza or one of the arcade, the console video games, driving games? Or is it kind of like that?
It looks a lot like that.
Do you have real drivers or do you have gamers?
Yeah, no, they have the real drivers. The real NASCAR drivers are running today. The real IndyCar drivers are running yesterday. The IMSA sports car racers.
How
are
much
running
like real racing is it? I mean, are the skills transferable?
To some degree. So, a lot of these guys are using, sim rigs that, include motion seats, that give you the feedback through the seat, and you get the steering wheels and pedals and everything. And are
the physics pretty close to the real life physics?
Yeah. I haven't used iRacing, but some of the other stuff, that I've used, I've played with some of these simulation rigs, and they are really good. I mean, the physics are surprisingly accurate. I've driven on one of these sim rigs on a couple of tracks that I have driven in real life in the same kind of cars, and it's pretty close. And you can do a lot of the tweaking of the settings of your car. You can go in and change some of the suspension settings and change the air, the wing angles and things like that to change the handling. And so the drivers are working with their engineers, and it's serious racing. So it's actually a surprising amount of fun to watch.
You might if you tune by FS1 think you were watching actual racing.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good. And in the absence of anything else, it's not the same as especially if you're used to going live to real races.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's better than nothing.
And if if the announcers do the same thing that they would normally do, they go, and he's coming around, and then
they have the same announcers. They have the IMSA announcers that did the Sebring race last week, the regular IndyCar announcers, Paul Tracy and the other guys that do the IndyCar races did the race yesterday, and so they do the same kind of commentary.
Wow,
as if they're watching a real. I mean, they are watching a real race, just without real race cars. And so
that's a big difference. I mean, you don't have the mechanical issues that you would have with a real race car. You don't.
And if you crash, then they'll give you a virtual tow back to the pits for repairs, things like that. So I mean, they've got all these details covered. Yeah.
And I guess it's better than nothing. Do you think that when this is all over, this might actually become a new esport?
Well, it has been an esport for a while.
They say esports are about to take off because of this.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that racing will become iRacing will become a lot more popular than it has been in the past.
Wow, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't go to a track and watch it, so you don't get the rumble of the engines. You don't get that in-person experience. Yeah.
But if you're watching on TV,
it's the same.
It's the next best thing. And you can still cheer on your favorite drivers. Same drivers. So are
the same
good.
people winning as would win on a real race?
In some cases, yeah.
Really?
It depends. It varies from depending on, some of the drivers are a little more used to racing in a sim environment, but they all practice in these simulation environments.
They do? Anyway. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So they're not unfamiliar with these.
No, not at all.
How interesting. Wow.
It's good stuff.
I'm kind of surprised. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
The world is going to be different.
You have to adapt in strange
Absolutely.
times.
And the world is going to be very different when this is over. It's just, any drivers ill? Anybody we should be paying attention to? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm not aware of any drivers that are ill. A couple of Formula One crew members. The Formula One race in Australia earlier this month was canceled at the last minute after a couple of members of the McLaren team tested positive.
Wow.
So there have been some crew members that have gotten sick, but I'm not aware of any drivers.
It looks like we've got to spin out on the track. He's having a little trouble getting the car back on. Here he goes.
Here he goes. He's going back.
He's sticking his arm out to signal a right turn. Wow. They really, so they have the physics, they have the mechanical flaws.
The vehicle models
makes me want to play.
Really accurate.
I want to go play Forza.
and the tracks that they're running on, they've gone out and done high resolution LiDAR
They're
scanning
beautiful.
of these.
It really looks beautiful. Except the weather's always perfect. Sam Abuelsamid, Wheel Bearings Media. If you want to listen to his great Wheel Bearings podcast, wheelbearings.media. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Leo.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz, everything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada if you want to reach us. You can also do it outside that area via Skype. Just use Skype out to call that phone number. Shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 2. Now let's see if we can get Susie in Los Angeles. Hi, Susie.
Hi,
There
Leo.
you are. Did you have your phone muted?
No, I don't know what happened with
Yeah,
it. This
sometimes that
phone's kinda
happens.
not that reliable.
Well, I'm glad I got you. Sorry about that.
But, well, some probably on my end. Well, thank you for taking my call. About a couple of months ago, either the end of January or the beginning of February, I was using my Microsoft Works calendar, and all of a sudden it says something about a file was missing or something. And I've asked a couple of IT people how I could get it back. In fact, when one person lent me his disk, and then he found out his Microsoft Works disk had a file missing or something. And I finally uninstalled all of Microsoft Works from my computer. So I'm wondering, is there a way, like a download or something?
Well, you know that Microsoft stopped making this program in 2009. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Because I tried researching on the internet over and over. And
yeah. I mean, I understand your love for it. A lot of people did. Actually, the last release was 12 years ago in 2007. 12 plus years ago. So there's always an issue if you're using software that's that old. You're seeing one problem, which is if something goes wrong, do you have the original disc that it came with?
I never had the original disc. It was just
it came on the computer.
When I bought, it's a laptop.
Yeah. So
I got the laptop like 2010.
Yeah. It would be hard to fix this at this point because you don't have the installer. And, of course, there's no download of it. Microsoft literally hasn't made it in 12 years. So I think you're kind of out of luck. Now, the good news is there are a lot of other tools you can use in its place. I mean, there are free programs. Zoho Office, Google Docs. Microsoft actually offers its own Office suite for free on the web. Or you could even buy Microsoft Office. But the problem, Works was great. And by the way, Apple had a similar program called ClarisWorks, which in a similar time frame, they discontinued. I don't know why, but it's like the world said, oh, we don't want these Works programs. The idea was it had everything in one program, word processing, calendar, email, everything, right? Spreadsheet, database.
I don't use the calendar.
So that was your calendar.
That was my calendar.
And you don't care about anything else?
I don't care about anything else. I have Microsoft Office 2016.
Oh, okay.
The home and student edition.
Oh, so you already have Office. You just were using the Works calendar.
Yeah, I was still using the Works calendar, though. And I've tried to do an Excel template, but it doesn't seem to work the same.
No, and of course, Outlook, which is the email program that comes with Microsoft Office, has a calendar. That's the calendar most people use. There's also Windows comes with a calendar. What version of Windows are you using?
10.
Oh, good. So there is a calendar on Windows 10. You could just use that. What we've got to do, though, is find the data from your Works calendar and get it into a more modern calendar. And then you'll be all right. So you're saying if you open Works, you can't see the calendar at all?
Well, I uninstalled I installed all the Microsoft Works, figuring it wasn't working.
Oh, all right. But probably the data is still there. So normally what people would do, maybe 10 years ago, is they would say, oh, I want to get rid of, Works is out of date. Microsoft's not updating anymore. Let's export the calendar. Do you know what that word means? Take the data from the calendar that's in Works, put it out as a file that is not Works specific, but can be read by other programs, and then import that file into, let's say, Outlook or the Office calendar, the calendar that comes with Windows 10, or, the calendar I use, and probably everybody should be using just because it really simplifies life, is Google has a calendar for free, calendar.google.com. If you can find your Works calendar,
I think it's gone.
It's gone. Well, you could start all over again. Is there anything in there that you really wanted?
Just all the data.
Just all the data. Just everything I have to do, everything I did. Yeah. Well, it's gone because you uninstalled it. Now, the data might still be there. Normally when you uninstall a program, it doesn't necessarily uninstall the data. If you could find a copy of Microsoft Works and reinstall it, and then you could export the calendar into a format called vCalendar, and then import it into Google Calendar or Microsoft Outlook, or there's a million calendar programs. Let me see if there is a way to download. Now that Microsoft doesn't make it anymore, there is, at Microsoft.com, there's a Works file converter that actually might be the solution. If you download that, it'll convert Microsoft Works versions 6 through 9. You probably had the last one, 9. And then you can run it on that data. If you can find the data, it'll be in a data folder somewhere, and convert it. And then you've got it in Office, and you can do anything else you want with it. So that's one thing. That if you Google Microsoft Works file converter, you'll find it on Microsoft.com. And I'm going to put a link in our show notes to that. So that's the first thing to look at. You might be able to get the data without reinstalling Works. And then it looks like, believe it or not, yeah, well, this is a site called downloadastro.com. They are offering, and it's illegal, they're offering a version of Microsoft Works 9.7.613. It's risky to download this because who knows who these guys are. This is not a legal copy of Works, but it might be that they're, and like many download sites, they just keep a copy of this lying around and you can download it and install it. Makes me a little nervous, but that may be the other solution. If you can't get this converter to take your Works data and convert it over, then the other solution is to get a copy of Works somehow, somewhere. Maybe you have a friend who has it. If you can get a copy of Works, then you could convert that. And that might be the other way around. I don't know. 8888, Ask Leo, the phone number. Line 4, Jim in, is it Tucson? Hi, Jim.
Yes, it's Jim in Tucson. How are you doing, Leo? Long-time fan.
Thank you.
I've got a mother-in-law that's in assisted living.
Okay.
And for about a year, we've had an iPad connected to it. And because the only way we can talk to her was with an iPad.
Oh, that's neat.
The phone. She doesn't do email.
So you were using FaceTime on an iPad to talk to her?
Exactly, in an auto answer mode. And
that's nice. So you'd say, Mom, are you there? And she wouldn't have to do anything. She'd just see you.
Yeah, it's actually on an articulated arm facing her chair. That's the only
wonderful
chair. So
That's
it's great. It works out good.
So nice.
Except, in the last couple of weeks, of course, we can't get in to see her because she's in assisted living, which
right.
is, which I'm glad they're taking the precautions.
Yes.
But there's a problem with FaceTime. It just doesn't see it. He just says it can't connect to it. I go to find my phone. It says, last found 5 hours ago. And I end up refreshing 10 or 15 times, and it may or may not find it.
So it's been removed or turned off, or maybe the power supply fell out and charge died or something like that.
Nope, it's 100% charged.
All right.
I thought it was the assisted living network. It's on Mifi now. It works fine for a couple weeks, and then it doesn't. And
does it just start working randomly again?
Yes, it'll start random because we have siblings all over the country, and they call in.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you set that up? That's so
I did.
Cool,
and read books and things, and I even made a Raspberry Pi with a push button on it. So she sends my wife an email and says, "Hey, look, call Mom," and we can call her and stuff like that.
That is what a neat idea. You should write a blog post about that so other people could do it. What a great idea. But why does the iPad come up and down? That's the question.
Exactly. Everybody says, hey, turn the screen on so it's on 100% time. Well, that doesn't work. You call Apple, they go, well, we can do it if we're in front of it. And say, well, if I wake it up, it works, kind of thing. It's like, I don't know where to go.
So one of the nice things about, and they just added this to Find My, you could see the battery life. That's a very nice new feature. So that the plug didn't fall out, that it's charged. Unless
100%.
And unless somebody's actually turning it off, a nurse or somebody's turning it off, even if the screen goes off, it should wake up when you call it.
Yeah.
And so FaceTime doesn't see it at all.
No, and I'm going to find my.
It hasn't seen it in hours, so that tells us that it's off the network.
Right, but then I refresh, and it finally will find it. I thought it was the assisted living network. I took off it.
Well, that's what I think too. And what did you do? You put it on a LTE on.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck too. I don't know. Why would it? It comes and goes, so it's not broken. It just it randomly disconnects and then reconnects.
Yes, and if I sit there and wake it up, go to find my phone and keep hitting refresh. Finally, it wakes up, then people can call.
That's so frustrating. And of course, you can't go over there and fix it.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what that would be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just. What you'd like to do, and maybe somebody, maybe you can get a savvy nurse to do this, is turn the iPad all the way off and on again.
Yeah.
Just reboot it, in other words. Not turn the screen off, but actually turn it all the way off so that the screen goes blank and then you get a white apple showing it's rebooting. Even iPads, you need to do that from time to time, and it could be that. It's interesting. So you were able to go over when this was happening and put a Mifi in there.
Well, yeah. Well, it's been happening for 8 months or so, and then finally, now we can't see her, so we took a Mifi to them and they put it in the room, and we gave them the password and he's got it connected. So they do nice things for us.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I think rebooting would be one thing. They should also check to make sure it's got the latest update. How old of an iPad is it?
That's 6th gen. I just got it, 6 months ago.
Pretty new. Okay.
It just before they released the last version.
Right.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's not the issue.
No.
And it worked fine for a long time, and then it stopped working.
Yep. And it goes through the stages. Yeah. And I've tried multiple iPads. I've tried an iPad Mini. I've tried this.
Oh, interesting. So different iPads, same thing.
Exactly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this might, iPads have always been a little funky with Wi-Fi. In fact, in the early days of the iPad, a number of universities refused to have iPads on their network. They'd actually block them because of the way the iPad kind of had a non-standard way of pinging the Wi-Fi, and they could actually take networks down. Apple fixed that, obviously, but I wonder if there's something odd going on with the way it's getting the Wi-Fi. And you've done everything you should do, which is try 2 different networks, multiple different iPads. This is new to me. I do not know why it would be doing that. Maybe somebody does and can call or visit the chat room or go to the show notes at techguylabs.com and add a comment. Maybe somebody will say, oh, yeah, that was happening to me. I've not ever heard of that happening, and I haven't had it happen to me. But you have an unusual situation. That iPad is sitting there always on, always charging, and it's got to always be on the network. Yeah. At some point, there are other devices that will do this. An Echo Show, you can have, it's called drop-in mode. So with these Echo Shows, the ones with screens, you turn on drop-in mode, and it'll do the same thing. It'll go, hey, Mom, are you there? It'll show you, and you could talk to her immediately. So that, and I've used that. That works. It was funny when Amazon introduced it. People said, why would you do that? But this is a perfect example of why you would do that, so that you could drop in on your elders, and they don't have to figure out how to make a call and all of that.
And they don't have to touch it or anything?
Yeah. Facebook's portals also do that, but right now they're sold out. This is something a lot of people want to do. So down the road, I don't think you could even, at this point, I don't think Amazon is shipping these out because they're focusing on essential products as opposed to gadgets. So you might not be able to get it till next month. But that might be another solution, is to get an Echo Show or something like that. I wonder, I don't know. Because you're not even using the facilities network now. You're using your own MiFi. MiFis might power down after a while. They might go to sleep. What sounds like is happening is the iPad or the network is going to sleep and powering down. And then by banging on it, you're getting it to wake up again. With a computer, there's a feature called Wake on LAN that says when there's network activity, turn yourself on. I don't think there's anything like that for the iPad. I don't know. Keep listening. Maybe we could find an answer, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a really interesting question because you've swapped out all the pieces, the iPad and the network.
I have, and even I put their own router connected to I used their local Wi-Fi, then I put a router into the network and
holy cow! You've tried everything. So the Echo Show does do that. The drop-in feature of the Echo is really great, and you can do it with the camera and picture, or you can just do it with audio, and that works and does not time out to my knowledge. So, but that's. I do not know, but you're using an iPad in a way that few do. So I'm a little disappointed that Apple didn't have any suggestions for you.
Yeah, no, they haven't had anything. And I got she can't hear us, so I got an external speaker. It's like the perfect setup if it works.
Oh, it's a great idea. Now tell me about the Raspberry Pi.
Got a Raspberry Pi Zero with a Pibo 3-button thing, so it's the same size as a Zero. Pushes the button, the keys light up saying she pushed it, sends the email off to my wife, and the buttons have become inactive for 10 minutes. So she can't bang on it and doesn't flood Google. And my wife will call her back.
Do you do this for a living, Jim, or are you just a hobbyist?
I do. This is a hobby for me, but I do some minor. I do IT stuff.
You're obviously a techie guy. That's a great idea. Yeah. I love that idea. Push button to send email. That's fantastic, and I love the debounce.
Lights up so you know, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is that using the MiFi or the nursing home network?
That's using the nursing home network.
Okay, and that works.
Yeah, it works. And every night it sends a text email of the last 10 button pushes, so we know if we missed something or not.
Oh, that's just really great. You are really going the extra mile. I think your wife really appreciates that. That's really great. Really a great thing to do. Yeah, you're taking care of her mom.
Yes.
Oh, it's so sweet. Somebody in the chat room says, my wife's iPad and other devices randomly drop from Wi-Fi all the time. And I have seen that with other Apple devices. My wife complains about her MacBook Air constantly. She says, it's off the Wi-Fi again. I said, mine's working. I don't know what's going on. So I'm wondering if Apple You know, on a Windows machine, and you know this, I'm sure, you can go into the device manager, you can see the device, and you can see if it's sleeping. And you can say, do not sleep. But, you know, an iPad doesn't have anything like that. They just do what they do. I suspect that's what's going on. It's sleeping.
Yeah, I'll figure something. It's nothing I can control. I think I've done everything I can.
I don't think, you've done everything, and I mean everything. Best Buy has a deal of the day right now, $129.99 for 2 Amazon Echo shows. So you get one for her, one for you for $129.99. There's other things. My mom loves the Echo because she can talk to it. She can say, play music or stuff like that. I don't know if your mother-in-law is that alert, but boy, that's a nice feature too. You can say, what time is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did build her a Raspberry Pi
voice assistant?
No, I built her just a screensaver basically. It just downloads things from Google every half hour.
That's so cool.
And builds a JPEG template of today is, Sunday.
What a good son-in-law. Well, yeah, the Echo can do that too. Yeah. What a good son-in-law. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better answer, Jim.
It's okay. I appreciate it, Leo.
It's good to talk to you. Take care. Chris Marquardt.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I had a Apple stuff dropping off of my router thing, and that was related with band steering and AP steering on the router.
So what's interesting is he tried 2 different routers. So 3, because he was using the nursing homes, and then he brought one in, and then he eventually bought one of these little Mifi cards, and it's doing the same thing with all of them.
Oh, okay.
So
then that's not it.
Well, it could be. They're all doing it. I think Apple's stuff, this is the problem with making it magic and easy to use, is they also don't expose what they're doing. There's no way of knowing. It's time for the photo guy, Chris Marquardt. He is grounded, unfortunately.
That's everyone.
Good for us because we get more of him. Chris's workshops, when they start up again, are at discoverthetopfloor.com. His great photos there as well. Follow him on Flickr. NUBUI is his Flickr handle. Of course, he's everywhere else as well. I'm just always glad you're here to help us. Hi, Chris Marquardt.
More online than ever.
It's hard. I see a lot of posts now from photographers and people wanting to help photographers saying it's hard when you're quarantined to find new things to take pictures of. We're all stuck inside now.
Yeah, but I mean, we all kind of have to improvise. This is actually a walk back in time for over 20 years for me, because when we are locked back home, we might not have access to all our fancy lighting and flashes and studio stuff and so on. So this, takes me back 20, 30 years when I didn't have a lot and I had to improvise a lot of things. And that's a good kind of exercise back home. You don't have a lot, but use what you have and do good photos. Take good photos with it. And there's lots of different kinds of photography. If you're there with your family, they have nowhere to go, so you could do some portraiture.
Oh,
yeah.
We're documenting the plague year, kids.
Of course.
Everybody gather around.
Take a photo of yourself every day and document the hair growing out and the beard getting longer. Find props for them. There's lots of stuff around your house, different clothes, and find good backgrounds. It's a good time to explore the light in your home. Lighting in general is a thing that you don't need a studio for or a fancy space. Daylight is the best light we have. Diffuse light makes soft shadows. So if you have diffuse light, that would be a north-facing window, for example.
You know what I saw somebody do, and I thought this was inspired? He's going around and taking pictures of families through the window as they press their noses against the window saying, let us out.
I've seen someone doing portraiture through a video chat,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Lots of awesome stuff. If you have a garden, go out, find some shade there, make some diffuse light, and you'll be perfect. With artificial lighting, I mean, we all now have LED lights at home. If you left your fancy flashes in the studio, that would be a good thing to explore. LED lights these days are okay in terms of color, pretty good actually, much better than these fluorescent lamps that we used to have, the energy saving ones. That's a good good place to learn about white balance, because you want to balance these out, make them look good, and white balance on your camera is the way to go. This is a good exercise to play with the size of the light. If you have an artificial light source, you want diffuse light, then you want to increase its size, which means you might turn that light bulb around, bounce it off a white wall, and just make it bigger this way. And this gives you much nicer light. And then there's so much different photography. There's macro photography. You have like insects in the garden or something, little flowers sticking their heads out. Food photography. Lots of people are learning to cook again, so document that. Tabletop photography, product photography. And here's a fun little project that I did probably around 15 years ago. You know how product photography is often done in a so-called light tent, which is a translucent white box with a hole in the front, and then you would put your product in there and you would shine light on the outside and make this a white, nice dome of light pretty much. And this is something that you can build at home fairly easily, a light box. And I built one 15 years ago, and I used it for, several years until I finally bought a light tent. And what you need for that is one thing that you certainly have at home now, and that's a cardboard box. I bet you're getting a lot of deliveries these days. So set one of those aside. It's about 20 inches on the side. 20 by 20 by 20 inches is a good size. Get a box cutter and cut holes in it. And what you want to do is you want to do it this way. So you want to cut holes into 1, 2, 3, 4 sides of it. The one that's facing you, the one on the right, the one on the left, and the one on the top. So cut them like an inch from the side, so you still have the edges to give it some structure. So you have the top open, the sides open, the front open, and you leave the back and the bottom intact. And then tape some translucent paper over those holes. Could be parchment paper, could be even like thin tissue paper or something. Just cover those openings, and those will be your diffusers. So you'll shine lights onto those surfaces, and that will create this beautiful soft light inside of this box. And then the last thing you'll need is what we call an infinite background. So you have a sheet of paper that you tape to the back and then curve it down to the front. So you have this slope in the box, and then when you set a product on there and you zoom in close, you go in close with your camera, and you have these lights from the sides and from the top, just desk lamps, just stuff that makes a nice surface of light, not just a point light source, but a surface light source. That's what these parchment paper or tissue papers are for. And then you have this diffuse, beautiful product photography box, and you will use that because now everything in there looks better, looks so much better than with some of the other photography. It doesn't matter what camera you use for that. Can be your smartphone, could be your mirrorless camera, your DSLR. And yeah, that's pretty much how you make one of these light boxes. Probably going to take you like 20 minutes, half an hour to do. And yeah, you'll have your product photography light box.
And then you'll have
you ever done anything like this?
I bought one.
Well, that's what I did after that. But I played with this I've used this a couple of years because it was there. It works just fine. It's not special. It doesn't look very good, but yeah.
You know, I think we were going to do a lot of eBay selling at one point. And Lisa said, well, what's the best way to do it? And this is easily the best way to do it. You put an object in a light box and you can get a great shot of it. And
you can still give it directional light. I mean, you don't have to light up all these open surfaces, all these translucent surfaces. You can just put a light on one side and on the other side. So you have a light situation where light's coming in from the sides. You can have one on the top, one on the side. So you can create different. You can model the light on these little products, and depending on the size of the box, this could be for anything from very tiny to rather big things. Kind of depends on the cardboard boxes that you stashed away.
Yeah, you kind of have to work with what you got.
Well, I mean, but as I said, now we all have lots of cardboard boxes because I bet everyone's getting more deliveries than ever right now.
Yes, and boy, my heart reaches out to the delivery people. We had somebody come; they were wearing masks and stuff. But thank you.
We put a sign up at the doorway to the delivery people. Drop it, ring the bell, step back, so we don't have to have contact. And they are happy about it. We're happy about it.
Sure.
So,
and then we've been debating whether we should just leave the boxes on the steps for a day to let them age. But generally,
leave them in the sun.
Yeah,
use
in the
UV
sun.
light
Get the UV, kill
things.
any germs. But I'm often just too impatient. I just have to find out what's in there, so I just open them up, wash my hands,
and then
afterwards.
wash hands. Yes.
Chris Marquardt, discoverthetopfloor.com. It's always the case that artistry likes a challenge, likes constraints, likes limitations. So let's take these limitations that we're all suffering from these days and use them to make more art. And Chris, you're very good at it. What's the subject of the week or of the month, I should say, for our photo assignment?
Layers. We're doing layers, and I think in a week or two we are going to review the assignment.
Okay. Take a picture, tag it TG for Tech Guy, TG Layers, upload it to our Flickr group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will thank you, and we will review them in a couple of weeks. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Nice. I love these creativity challenges.
Well, this is all we got right now.
That's it. That's what we got right now, man. This is it.
Make the best of it. I mean, this is all the artist types. I mean, us small businesses. I mean, I had to reinvent myself so many times. So this is just one more iteration of that. It's just, we'll come out on the other end and probably stronger. So,
I think so. How are you and Monica doing? Are you going crazy or?
No, I've trained for this for my whole life.
We're all nerds.
I've been working from home for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I can deal with that, and we have a lot of deliveries. We found some good places to deliver some of the shopping, and the most important stuff, the stuff we can't get delivered, where we're just putting good masks on and stuff. And
yeah.
I hope for the best.
Just do what we can. And, the good news is this works. This shelter in place, this quarantining really does work.
I seen this article from the Spanish flu, where they had the comparison of different cities in the U.S.
Philadelphia versus St. Louis,
like 20 of them, and how they dealt with it and how their curves looked, and the shelter and home is necessary and good.
I've been looking at the curve for Sonoma County, and we're now healthier than we are normally because there's no flu or colds even. And
you want to keep it that way.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe, and we'll talk next week. Thank you for your inspiration.
Talk to you in a week.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. Take care.
Till next time.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. That's who I am. 8888. Ask Leo, your Tech Guy, actually, here on the radio to answer your problems, your questions. Website where we put all the answers is techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. Johnny in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Johnny.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for hanging on there.
Sure. First off, I want to compliment you last week on your show because there were a couple of callers that kind of came through that I could tell caught you off guard a little bit. You handled it really, really good. One was the inappropriate word.
Well, now you might have heard it on the podcast, but thanks to the fast fingers of Lady Laura, our musical director. She hit that button, and the radio stations never heard it. And then the guy apologized. He sent me an email later saying, I don't remember saying that bad word. He was talking about his cat. And I guess he really loved his cat because he used an expletive to describe her. And, fortunately, Laura, she's good, and she caught it. Because, nowadays, FCC will fine you pretty big for even what they call a fleeting expletive. So it didn't throw me. I don't have that big button It's all up to Laura. So I'm just glad she was listening.
And thank you for dumping the call or the guy was.
The conspiracy guy.
He was happy about the situation. I'm like,
it's sad. It really is.
Yeah, so you handled that one really well too.
Thank you.
You dumped him.
It's not easy, you know. We do this live. Kim, of course, screens callers. You talk to her on your way in, but people are devious. They'll say one thing on to Kim and then the other one on the air when they get on the air, and so that's why, unfortunately, we have to have that dump button. I wish we didn't have to, but we do. I have to say, this is not a political talk show, so tempers don't get as heated, and we have rarely had to use that button. I think we've only used it in how many years I've been doing this? 16 years I've been doing this. I think we've only used it 2 or 3 times. So you're all pretty good people, pretty nice people.
Well, speaking of, I try to work with my church, and my church here in Atlanta is just as challenged as all the other.
Oh man, I bet.
Yeah. How to deliver the services, and so.
And yet, this is a time the church needs to be there. This is people need it desperately, and they can't go to church. Makes it very difficult.
It does, and my church, the challenge was, get a live stream going quickly. So this has been week 3 this Sunday.
Good.
So the first 2 weeks they did a Facebook Live, and last week they did it from the church, and there were about 10 or 11 members there, I guess, that were there. The clergy and the music director.
It's nice to have a few people there, so it doesn't feel dead, right?
Exactly, but for some reason the city did not want them doing that this week.
No, they didn't even want 12 people there. Yeah. Well,
right. So what they did is they pre-recorded sections. Okay, they pre-recorded it, and a number of churches are doing that because I've had some of my friends reaching out that are involved in the church, but they've asked them to pre-record, and so they're asking me what's the best software to use. What should you?
Where do you stream? You said you stream to Facebook. Facebook will save it. The one we usually use is YouTube and YouTube Live. If the church has a YouTube channel, you can do live streams of the services, and it will automatically save it on the YouTube channel as a video people can watch later, and that's free.
Yeah, what they did this time is they got each member of the clergy to record their own section, whether they were saying the Bible verse, whether they were saying the prayer, whether they were doing the service. So what they did is they pieced one person at the end, over this last week, pieced it all together. Now, I haven't talked to them yet to find out what software they use. Now, they did host this one on Vimeo, but it got me thinking, it's like, okay, which is better on all this stuff? Is Vimeo better than YouTube in certain things?
I like Vimeo better. I think the quality's better, and certainly the environment is better, but it's not free. So they have a free tier, but but pretty quickly you'll run out of space for the free stuff, and you'll have to pay for a pro version. It's not horribly expensive. I have a Vimeo Pro account, and I don't use it very often, but it's nice to have. I don't think it's very expensive. So Vimeo is, and mainly because you start sending parishioners to YouTube. The next video, because they do this autoplay thing, and the next video maybe not as nice, and the next one after that, and the next one. YouTube's recommendation engine is just notoriously awful. So if you do it on Vimeo, then it's just, and you can embed it on the church's webpage. It won't autoplay the next thing. It'll just stop when it's done. I think that's probably a better way to do it. So if you can afford a Vimeo account, I would use Vimeo. Yeah.
Okay. And you were talking to Chris Marquardt about, what are you doing with your time? Learning new skill. Like I'm like you. I'm challenged by photography. I really like learning about photography, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah, me too, Johnny.
But I'm taking this time now because of all this video stuff going on to really try to improve my video skills,
Perfect.
My video editing skills.
Perfect.
I've been asked to record a section for next week's sermon. Next week's church service.
Nice.
And so I'm using Adobe Premiere. Element.
That's a very good choice. In fact, we use the big boy Premiere for all of our podcasts. We used to use Apple's Final Cut. Apple changed it drastically a few years ago and made it impossible for us to use, so we got rid of all our Macs, bought Windows machines, and started using Premiere, Adobe Premiere. It's a very good editor. Nothing wrong with Premiere. And Elements is inexpensive. It's under $100. It's very powerful. It's got most of the power of the Premiere. And the thing is, once you learn, it's called, what that is timeline editing. You've got the video, and you scrub through it. The video's on the bottom. You have an audio track. Once you learn that, almost all video editors use that style. You should be able to move around very easily. Adobe has a program designed for kind of quick editing called Rush. If you have a Premiere subscription, well, I guess you don't because you got Premiere Elements, but you might look at Adobe Rush. That was free. It might still be free. On a Mac, of course, there's iMovie, which comes free with a Mac and is very good. But all of these really have the same timeline style editing. So what you've learned in Premiere Elements will translate very well to any other program you use down the road.
Okay, I got one more question. I wasn't planning to ask you this question, but I was on hold. I was doing stuff in the Premiere, so I don't know if you've ever seen this. I'm trying to perform the update on this. I've got 2020.
Yeah.
I'm on Windows 10, by the way.
Yeah.
And by the time when it gets to the update, it says I get a pop-up that says you will need a new app to open this AUPHD link. So whatever this file is they're using to automatically update this version.
Oh, Adobe.
I don't have on my.
Oh, Adobe. That's so Adobe. I don't know. Because we have a Creative Cloud subscription, which is expensive, but that just has an updater. The Creative Cloud sits on the computer and just updates it automatically. So I don't know what this obviously it stands for Adobe Update, this AUPD program. It seems like maybe there's a component missing. You might go to the Adobe site and see if they have a tool for updating Premiere or a tool, as they do for the Creative Cloud subscription. They have one program that just runs in the background. See, they kind of want to always be running on your machine. I think this may be related to that.
Yeah, I'll throw out a ticket. And if I can ask one more quick question about media recovery. I took my GoPro 7 on my last cruise before all this outbreak last February.
Yeah, and your last ever cruise, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
One of the cards was bad. It was after I took it out, it just wouldn't be recognized by any computer that there was even a card there. So I sent it off to a company in New York because they had a local branch here in Atlanta. They wanted like $2,000.
No.
To get data off.
And they won't be able to. When solid state memory dies, it usually is unrecoverable. Sometimes there's just an error and you can recover it. But if you used Recover and the other free tools for recovering and it didn't recover it, they aren't going to be able to do anything different.
Okay.
That means that card is dead, and that does happen, unfortunately, with SD cards.
Well, unfortunately, it was a new card from SanDisk, which is top quality.
No.
I used 3 cards while I was on vacation, and I was backing them up to my computer about every couple of days.
That's why, yeah.
That one died.
Yeah, see, that's why I do that, because you don't know when it's going to die, and they often do. So at least you didn't lose everything. You only lost a little bit. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for doing what you're doing, Johnny. We all need to help out local community groups, churches, local businesses. We all need it. We're all in it together, and I think we all need each other, right? So it's a great thing to do to help out like that. And gives you something to do when you're stuck at home. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me. Oh, yeah, just use Skype out. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 3, Kathleen in Rancho Cucamonga. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, Leo. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thanks for calling.
Yes, and I just want to let you know we could hear everything you were saying until the last word was goofball. I don't know if it was just my phone or if you was...
It's just your phone. You have one of them magic phones that hears everything Leo's saying all the time.
I felt like embarrassed, like I was listening into stuff.
No, you're not. So we have to do something while you're waiting on hold, and what we do is we put the audio from the studio on the thing, so you're not it's not just dead air.
Well, I heard the commercial way off in the distance.
Yeah.
But instead of like the commercial, but no, I heard you.
And you hear me talking. Yeah. We don't put the radio on. We put me on. So I control the audio. And just so you know, you didn't hear anything weird or out of the ordinary. I was talking to the chat room.
I was actually going to tell you that Your kindness and your patience with everybody really shines through.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so my question is this. I've been doing a little bit of research. I'm legally blind, and my sight is getting to the point where I do a lot of writing, poetry, short stories.
That's nice. Yeah.
And, well, thank you. But the problem is that my hands can't work as fast as my brain, and by the time I'm done writing whatever, I can't read what the heck I wrote. I need.
So you're handwriting it out?
Yes.
So you're writing as fast as your little brain can work, but of course it turns into scribbles by the time you're done.
Yes, and I have to write with a felt pen in order to even see what I wrote in large.
Right.
So it's just a mess. So anyway, I found the little research that I've done. I found something called, it seems to be the most favorite, called Dragon X.
You don't need that. So do you have, what kind of computer do you have? Or do you have a computer?
I have an iPad.
Perfect. So the iPad Siri has dictation built in. You don't need Dragon. Dragon is a text-to-speech program. It was, for years, the best out there, and I guess it might still be the best. But what's changed over the years is Google and Apple and Microsoft and everybody else has come up with their own text-to-speech engine, and they're quite good, and they come with the computer or the phone, so you don't need anything separate.
My question would be, how would I see? I want to print it out on paper.
Yeah. So, and by the way, it's not text to speech; it's the other way around. It's speech to text, obviously.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's me. I'm just, So, if you have your iPad, if you have your iPad, you can turn on Siri dictation, and it'll write it. It'll turn it into text. For instance, you could open the Notepad program and just dictate to your little heart's content. It'll only do a paragraph at a time. After you get to a certain point, it stops, and then you have to press the record button again, and it'll go back to do that. And then it's in the text, so you can Apple Notes on the iPad. You can make the text really big if you want, as big as you want, so that you can read it easily and print it out.
How do I do that?
Do you have a printer?
No, I have nothing but
just the iPad.
Yeah.
So you need to get a printer, obviously. I mean, you could bring it to a Kinko's or somewhere and get them to print it out, but it's not printers are cheap.
Okay, so what would be a good kind of printer, and then what do I need to do to plug it in to the iPad to make it work?
So you don't plug it into the iPad. So times have changed since you had a printer in the old days. You have Wi-Fi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So modern printers you set up when you first get them. This might be challenging if your eyesight is limited, but maybe you can get a friend to do it. You set it up when you first get it and attach it to your Wi-Fi network. And at that point, the iPad on the same network can see it and print to it. They call it air print because it goes through the air. What? How does that happen? It's a miracle.
Oh my God. I don't even know how to my thing says your iPad has not been backed up in.
Oh, that annoys me. Now, that's not your fault. That's Apple and their blatant attempt to get you to buy iCloud storage. So what they want you to do is back it up to the iCloud, right? Mm-hmm. But they only give you like 5 gigabytes to start. So you fill it up, and then they never stop pestering you to buy more.
Oh,
you dopes!
I've been ignoring it all this time.
You should ignore it. It's dopey, and Apple, turn that thing off.
Well, and then what happened is that my phone went blank on me earlier this year, and so I had it just stopped working. So I brought it in there, and they lost everything. They lost every phone number that I had, every picture that I had.
Because they figured, well, you've been backing it up to iCloud, right? And you, of course, they figured you'd been backing it up to iCloud.
Right. Well,
so
yes.
it is worth it to back it up to iCloud for this reason. Because, when they work on any device, they always say, and they should have said to you, look, we're going to fix it, but you should have your data backed up, right?
Well, I brought my iPad in with me at the same time, and he's like, well, you didn't have it backed up to your iPad? And I'm like,
no, and you should have told me that before you took it.
Yeah.
You dopes. So that's them not doing right by you. They just forgot. It is good to know that whenever you bring any computing device into a store, before you bring it in, make sure your data is backed up and saved somewhere, because there's always that risk. They may have, who knows, did they take it in the back?
No, I don't think so. He pretty much did everything right there.
Okay. So they wiped your phone. They started over and wiped it.
He's like telling me, I didn't do this on purpose. And I said, well, I'm sure you didn't, but how would you feel if you lost every phone number you've ever owned?
That's so bad. So that's Apple. That's the genius who's not so genius, assuming, big mistake, that you had already backed it all up. He should have asked you, before I do this, I want to make sure that you've backed up your data. Because you don't have to back it up to iCloud. If you had a Mac or a PC, you could connect it via a wire. In fact, that's generally how I recommend doing it. Backed it up and then brought it into the stores. Next time you'll know. I'm so sorry you lost. So have you checked iCloud to see if maybe it was all up there?
No, I've never been in it in my life. In fact, I did say, okay, I'll do the 99 cents a month.
Yeah, it's not that expensive. Yeah.
Right. So I paid for it for a few months, and then I realized, well, I'm not even using anything, so I just stopped it.
But you are, because your phone is using it and your iPad's using it, backing up things like your contacts. So you have an Apple account. Log into that. It'll be something like Kathleen@iCloud.com. Log into it with your Apple password and see. You might actually surprise yourself. I think it's all going to be there.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, they have, they have contacts, they have calendar, so it probably had enough room to back up your contacts for sure. That's not a lot of space.
You mean it just does it automatic?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of have to turn it on, but I think it's on by default. I think they leave it on. But yeah, you have to check your iCloud backup and see.
So could you recommend a printer that I should get?
Well, I could recommend our fine sponsor, who I'm about to do a commercial for, Epson.
Oh yeah, that one where for years.
Yeah, Epson EcoTank is good, but there are lots of choices out there, and printers. The thing to remember is when a printer costs $99, it's because they're going to make it back in ink cartridges. Those are expensive. So that's why I like the EcoTanks, because they cost a little more up front because it comes with 2 years of ink. Yeah, and it's still a lot cheaper. It's still like a lot cheaper than buying cartridges.
Yeah, that works for me because I'm not.
Yeah, you don't want to run out every time you print to get a cartridge.
Exactly.
It's annoying.
I have one more little question.
Sure.
You were talking about I think it's called Zoom. Our Bible study is leaders trying to put together something that we can all, see each other virtually. Yes. Okay. So here's my deal. Me having the iPad, they all have like computers they can set up. How do I set the iPad up so that they will be able to see me?
If they're using Zoom, there's a Zoom app. So what you tell them is whatever you choose, whether it's Google Hangouts or Zoom or Skype or whatever you choose, make sure that it has an iPad app. They probably will, because everybody in the world has an iPad. Then you just get that app on your iPad. They'll send you a meeting link. It'll open it up on the iPad. You'll see them. They'll see you.
Okay, so where do I set the iPad? That was actually my question. How do I set it so they see me? And
just put it on a stand or lean it against something, a book or whatever. So, you'll figure it out because you can see yourself in a little picture along with their picture.
I can't even see me in the mirror.
Oh, okay.
It's basically for them.
So I get it. Well, you're going to have to say, can you see me now? And then you adjust it. Can you see me now? So the camera on the iPad is a little hard to find. I always have this problem with my mom. And she's sighted, by the way, but she can never figure out where the camera is. If you have an iPad with a home button, it's on the opposite side from that. And you may not even be able to feel it, but it's there. It's a little tiny black dot. So that's where the camera is. So you just position the iPad so that you're in front of that dot.
All right.
The opposite side from the home button.
and I didn't write
And
down.
put on pants before you do it, right?
Of course. I still get dressed up and
oh, Kathleen, we can see you.
Nobody's going to see me.
Oh, I know. My mom, every time I want to FaceTime her, she's 87 years old. She says, give me 5 minutes to put on my face. Every time. I said, Mom, I've seen you without your face. You don't have to put on a face. She says, no, I do.
Can you tell, I'm sorry, but can you tell me the thing that I have to go one more time? So I wrote it down and now I can't see what I wrote.
Oh, no.
About with my iPad, what do I have to go? Is Siri dictation? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So what I would do is open whatever you want to, whatever word processing you want to use. You could just use Apple's Notes app, which is right in there. You open it up, and then on the keyboard, there's a little microphone. You might have to get really close to see it, but there's a little microphone. If you tap it and just start talking, it'll write down everything you say.
Tap microphone. And then, see, I couldn't read the word dictation. Now, okay.
This is going to be so much better than handwriting it.
Oh, yeah, because,
So much better. And your hand won't get cramped.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Bless you.
Hey, let me ask you one more quick question.
Sure.
You used to be after the Carey brothers up in Northern.
I did. You used to listen to me on KNBR in San Francisco.
I did.
That was me.
I thought that was.
I was on with the Carey brothers. I hosted their show, and then I did wine and cheese and food and gardening and home improvement and real estate.
I missed them so much. I wish you guys had a garden program.
Oh.
I really missed them.
I know how to do one if they ever want to do one. I can't garden to save my life, but I could do a garden program.
I would love that.
That's how I got started doing computers, Kathleen, is I said, well, I'll do all that, but you got to let me do a computer show. This is in the early 90s. And they said, nobody wants a computer show. I said, just please, 2 hours a weekend, please. And they let
you're
me.
the one that taught me everything that I know. What I do know, I only know because of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I talked to the Carey brothers just a few months ago. They're doing great. They are so great.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, right. All these years I've been listening to, I thought, I think that's the same guy listening to in the late 90s.
It is.
There.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Well, God bless you, my dear.
You too. Thank you, Kathleen.
Alrighty.
Take care. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. More of your calls coming up. Take care of yourself. Wash your hands. Socially distant yourself. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Gary from Davis next. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Leo. I, too, have been listening to since you were at KNBR.
Oh, my goodness. It's Old Home Week. Thank you.
Yeah, and I've been listening forever. I've never had the courage to call in, but I had to call it this time because I need your help with something.
I'm so glad you called, Gary. Please don't be afraid. I won't hurt you.
Well, I know. I don't know how to talk on the phone when it's on the radio. I'm pretending I'm not.
Yeah, no, it's just you and me. We're not on the radio.
Okay.
That's silly. No, it's just you and me.
All right.
Old friends.
That's great.
Yeah.
What I need your help with is I have a 3 to 4 year old doing the free download for Windows 10.
Yeah.
I tried to download it for about a week, and every time I would try and download it, it would freeze at a certain point.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Download it.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that they think that was because I must have a glitch on my hard drive. So now where I'm thinking about buying Windows 10 because, of course, 7 isn't supported anymore. And but
the sad thing is, Gary, the sad thing is, even if you bought it, you'd still have to download it.
I thought you would get.
No, they don't send you discs anymore, Gary.
Okay, so then I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your internet connection. Because, by the way, I don't know if it's related, but your phone keeps dropping out too. I'm thinking you have a problem with your internet connection.
Okay. Yeah, I do at a certain spot in my apartment. It does that, but I have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty good. But
do you have a wired connection you can use?
Yeah, I could plug it into my router.
I would try that just for this occasion. This is a big download. It's several gigabytes. And it is not unusual for the download to fail. Now, the first thing you got to do is get it from Microsoft.com only. Don't get it from anywhere else, right?
Okay.
Yep. Don't dare. Bad guys are going to take advantage of this and say, "Oh yeah, we have Windows 10. Just come and get it here." That's not the one you want. Get it from Microsoft.com. You'll be on their Media Creation Tool page, and it'll be a Windows 10 ISO. That's what they call an ISO file. Download it from that page. And it's honestly, the problem is, and if you've been around that long, you probably remember in the early days when we had dial-up modems, you'd use special software to do it, Z modem and stuff, because it was so unreliable. I think this is a similar problem. Try doing it wired, because if you can just get that file, everything else will be easy. Buying it's silly to spend $130 or $150 for this. I understand why you keep wanting to give up, but
well, that's what the other question. Are you going to need to go to a break again? Because I heard your music.
I did. We're on a break, but I'm still talking to you. See, now it really is just you and me.
Okay, Leo. Well, then my other question was, can I get any decent type of laptop for $500 to $600?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't do much on the laptop. All I do mostly is what you said you can do in a Chromebook. But can you give me a suggestion of any type of decent laptop?
I would get a Chromebook. Eliminate this Windows thing. Microsoft really has a problem with Windows. It is not reliable. They have massive flaws. Another one just came up with the font manager, and they don't have a fix for it. It's going to be a week or two before they fix it. It's nutso.
Oh, well, but I don't have a clue how to use them.
But if you're
not a clue, I've been using Windows.
I know, of course you have. Everybody has, because that was the default. The nice thing about a Chromebook, you do have a clue to use it. It's just a browser. You know how to use the browser, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's all it is. And so the test is, can I do everything I do on a computer in a browser? Get my email, surf the net, buy stuff on Amazon. If everything you do can be done within a Chrome browser, then a Chromebook is a much better choice. It's much more secure.
Oh, well, like I type documents and things like that.
You can do that because Google has Google Docs, so they have a word processor, a spreadsheet, and you can use that. They store it in the cloud. You don't even have to think about backup because it's just backed up automatically.
Okay, because my daughter gave me a MacBook Air.
That's a nice computer.
I can't figure out how to use it. I can't figure out how to.
You've used Windows for so long.
There must be somewhere I can. Yeah. There must be some place I can go to learn about the iMac. Then,
if you've got a MacBook Air, those are very nice. I think those are nice computers. If she gave it to you a long time ago, one of her older computers. Yeah. So the only negative on that will be the screen. If you don't mind the screen, those were very low, relatively compared to modern Mac, low resolution screens. But if you don't mind the screen,
no, I don't mind. And it's 10 times faster than my laptop.
Oh, then that's a good choice. And the Mac doesn't have nearly the security issues Windows does. It's still not perfect. For most people, a Chromebook is a good choice, and there are lots of choices. Samsung makes some very good Chromebooks for under $500.
Okay, and just the last, and I don't want to tie you up, but is there some place or something I can get to teach me how to use that computer? I mean, in some kind of instructional book or something.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it's not that different than Windows if you just kind of have to wrap your head around that it's called the system preferences, not the control panel, that the menu's on the top, not the bottom. It's little things like that the close button is on the left, not the right, little things like that. But Apple, the stores are all closed. Apple used to have excellent training at their Apple stores, but they're all closed now because of COVID.
Right.
But there are plenty of places online. If you just Google, teach me how to use a Mac, there's some excellent, my friend David Pogue writes a series called The Missing Manual. He has Macintosh, The Missing Manual. That's a very good book. It's Pogue. There's Head First Macintosh is also very good. That has lots of pictures. It's a little more accessible. There are plenty of books. I think that it's more a mind block because essentially a Mac is not really any different than Windows. Same kind of ideas. You got files, you got folders, you got programs. I think you'll be able to figure out pretty quickly. Chromebook would be much easier because you already know how to use a browser, and that's all it is.
Right. Okay. All right. I appreciate it very much.
Gary, it is a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.
I'll keep listening until I pass. I'm 70 now, so I'll be listening.
Well, I'm right behind you, Gary.
No, you're not, Leo.
I'm
You're
63.
way
I'm right behind you.
Yeah, my kids are just a little younger than you, but thank you very much, Leo.
It's a
I'll tell you
pleasure
what,
talking
you don't
to you.
look 63. You don't look 63. You look great.
That's because I have a great
Thanks,
job
Leo.
and great listeners
Yeah.
like you. Thank you, Gary. Take care.
Thanks, Leo. You too.
Oh, the fabulous Lady Laura, our musical director. Oh, you should see her getting those discs on the turntables, spinning them up, queuing them up. She's got one headphone on, one headphone off. She's ready to keep the disco going all night long, right, Lady Laura?
Oh, yeah.
Well, for another half hour anyway. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the phones we go. Line 2 is Ken. He's in Studio City, California. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
I called you once many years ago. I am the computer engineer PhD.
Oh, my.
But I need your help because my PhD stands for Pathetically Hopeless Dope.
That's a new degree. Did you have to write a dissertation for that?
A disgusting dissertation. Yeah, I'm very different from my brother who has more degrees than a thermometer, and I dropped out of college. So anyway, here's my deal.
Yes.
I've been out of work
I'm sorry.
for a while, and I have extremely limited budget.
Yes.
My problem is deceptively simple, so I hope that you'll have time to answer this. Because
Okay.
I know you'll be able to. If you have the time. I am taking a course at the local community college, and with the virus situation, we're now online on Zoom.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody is. Yep.
I got through the limited problems that I have, but my laptop is ancient, and it doesn't have a camera or a mic. So I thought I'll go on to Amazon, and I went on to Amazon and eBay, and I cannot find I can't find a camera mic combo that works with my laptop.
Well, I've got something for you, but
well, wait, because here's the rub.
Yeah.
There are a few rubs.
Okay.
Like I say, I've got an ancient HP laptop, but I'm running Linux. I installed a Linux.
Oh,
Ubuntu.
Aren't you fancy?
Yeah, I know just enough to get myself into a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So I thought, wait a second, I've got an iPhone. I bet Leo can tell me how to use the camera and mic of my iPhone to use that instead of me having to buy something. But here's the rub. You're going to laugh at this because I'm just such a I use a horse and buggy. My iPhone is a 4S.
Okay.
And I would have to get a service, too, I'm sure, that has Wi-Fi because I only have pay-as-you-go for talk and text. But that's not a problem. I'll upgrade. But
it is. So if you had a Mac, it's pretty easy to use an iPhone as a camera and mic. That's not hard to do. There's software that'll do it. Even QuickTime will do it. But Linux, you threw me a little curve there. It's a little more complicated.
Yep.
But you can use your iPad or your iPhone as what they call an IP or internet camera on Linux. So, and that means you'll be doing it over Wi-Fi. You said you don't have Wi-Fi?
I don't have anything. I use a horse and buggy to get around town here in Los Angeles. No, I'm wired, and I don't want Wi-Fi if I can avoid it. So it sounds like I might have to go with buy a camera mic combination if I can't use my iPhone. I was hoping I could, but then I couldn't find a camera and mic that worked with
Linux. And the laptop you're using doesn't have its own built-in?
No.
Okay.
No, it's let me get my...
No, that's all right. I don't need to know that.
Okay.
So
it's a DV6000.
I'm not sure. This is the thing. You need to get a camera, and I like the Logitechs. They're not. You can get a Logitech C920. They're not that expensive. The microphone is built into the camera. The problem is most of the vendors are not shipping them for a while. Like if you tried to get it on Amazon, you wouldn't be able to get it for till 3 or 4 weeks. I'm seeing
the Logitech website, and they support. They don't show as they support
Linux. In most cases, yeah, they don't, because that's the problem with Linux. These commercial companies turn up their nose. But in most cases, most of these are supported by Linux, but it's third parties, it's enthusiasts that make them work. And that's why I think you're best using a Logitech camera, because that's probably the most widely used cameras. It'll have a USB connection, and you just need to have, you could do a little search. You're using Ubuntu?
Yeah, Ubuntu, yes.
Ubuntu, okay.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I bet you using a Ubuntu with a Logitech camera is totally doable.
But I have to find somebody who's written a driver for it?
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at on the Ask Ubuntu website how to install a Logitech webcam. Oh. And, their problem, look, you chose Linux. Sometimes what happens with Linux is you have to become a little bit of a guru. But with a little Googling, I think you'll be able to find out how to do this. Because Logitech, in general, the rule with Linux is always use the most popular stuff, because some enthusiast out there will say, well, I have to get this working, and will have written a driver. So, yeah, if it doesn't include it, and it might, in fact, actually, I think it does. I'm looking now at Ask Ubuntu. You have a program on your Ubuntu called Cheese, most likely. That's their their photo booth.
Not on mine, but I could.
You can easily install it using Apter, the Ubuntu store. That's just a photo booth app, but it will show it as a camera if you plug in the Logitech. If you can do that, then the next step is getting Zoom working. I don't know if Zoom works on Linux. I bet it does, but...
Well, I've just been using the Zoom through my browser.
The browser Zoom. Okay, fine. Yeah, it works. No, Zoom supports Linux. So I think this is going to be a problem. The real trick is find somebody who will deliver that camera to you in a timely fashion. Amazon, it probably won't be till April. They're well under $100. I've seen them for around $50. I know that's not free. Can you afford $50 for it?
Well, I saw much less on eBay.
Good. So search around. You could get a used one. Those Logitech cameras are great. They have built-in mics that are fine, certainly for a class, and it should work just fine on Linux without any additional drivers, because it's seen as a standard camera via the USB port. So I think all of this will work without any problem. I can't say I'm sure of it because I haven't done it, but just looking around, Zoom works in Ubuntu. Logitech should work without a driver in Ubuntu. I think you're good. I don't think you're going to have any problem. It's going to be getting that camera, and if you can find one on eBay, somebody selling it used, that's the way to go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's do one more segment before we wrap it up for the weekend, right after this. Thank you for letting me do this show each and every week. I keep waiting for somebody to catch on and say, what are you doing? Get out of here. Thank you to Lady Laura for spinning the discs, our musical director, for Kim Schaffer. Both Lady Laura and Kim Schaffer have important-looking letters from the Department of Homeland Security saying they're essential personnel. I don't have that letter, so I won't take it personally. That's okay. That's okay. I'm here. I snuck in. But I'm glad Kim and Lady Laura, I agree, they are essential personnel. You know who else is essential? You. Thank you for listening to the show, for tuning in and dialing in. We appreciate it. Because otherwise, I just have to stay home, and my wife would be going nuts. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take a few more before we wrap these things up. By the way, if you're a fan of tech, if you're a tech enthusiast, I do these shows all week long. It's not just the radio show. We have a podcast network, too, called This Week in Tech. This Week in Tech. And it's at TWIT.tv. And there's shows about Macs, iOS. If you're new to iOS and you want to get some help, we've got a great iOS show called iOS Today. MacBreak Weekly for the Mac users. Windows Weekly for the Windows users. Security Now, if you're into security and want to know more. We do a lot of tech news. We have our big tech news roundtable. In fact, it's coming up right after this show, This Week in Tech, and then Tech News Weekly. So there's a lot of podcasts, not just me, but me and my buddies. We host those shows at twit.tv. So if you like technology, it's a good time. I know most people listen to podcasts in the car, the same with the radio on the way home. Now you got a lot of free time at home. You're walking the dog, doing the dishes, doing the crossword puzzle. You can still listen to podcasts. So I hope you will, and I hope you'll listen to this show too. Back to the phones we go. Line 1, Sharon, Roseburg, Oregon. Hello, Sharon.
Hi. Yeah, I've listened to you for years, too.
Oh, man. It's Old Home Week this week. Thank you.
You're right. Yeah, years and years. Okay, I have on my phone, it's an iPhone 10R. They have this thing called Reminders. And you could make lists on it as well as today or scheduled or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a whole mess of little things, little notes to myself, and I guess they were considered lists. I don't know. But anyway, I had just notes like who I wanted to hire for this job or that, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And when I updated it, it split it in two, and I guess it kept today and scheduled and all that, which I really didn't use. But the lists all disappeared except 2.
Oh, man.
About 40. So I went on my computer.
Did you look to see, because there's a whole bunch of lists and reminders. So did you look to see if any of them were there?
Yeah, I did.
And they're not there either.
No, there's nothing there. The only thing, like I said, there were two things left, but the information that was on them
that's frustrating.
wasn't even right. And so I went on my regular computer, which doesn't have that on it, but I somehow I came up and I found a section of them, but now I can't find it, of course. But so I figured they're probably on the cloud somewhere. And I went, but I have no idea how to get to the cloud or how to use it.
They're up there somewhere, and those puffy little things up there. Well, that one looks like a turtle. So here's the deal. You're right. They're probably, I hope they are, in iCloud. This is part of what happened when they went to iOS 13. They changed, quote, upgraded, in your case, downgraded reminders, and they're no longer compatible. But if you go to iCloud.com, they might still exist. You might say, well, but how do I log in? Well, you have an Apple account. It's on the phone. And it will have an email address. It doesn't have to be at iCloud.com. It'd be whatever email address you provided it, and a password. In fact, you can even see what account you have if you go to the settings on your iPhone and click your head. Click the picture up at the top of you. It'll tell you your iCloud account information. And log in there and snoop around. Maybe they moved it to notes.
I looked on that. That's what I figured.
It's frustrating. I'm looking. Apple has a tech note on the website talking about the new reminders features in iOS 13. Of course, they don't have a paragraph saying, oh, your old reminders will be deleted or changed. But they did change the database. And I'm hoping that they at least put them somewhere. Sounds like they did, maybe in iCloud. So that's the first thing I would do is look and see if they have iCloud, if it has the old stuff. You looked in notes, it didn't put them there.
Yeah,
That's frustrating.
I think they did put like 2 there.
That's so frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. I started to put some back in notes, but I was
look also in your accounts because, for instance, I have notes that are stored in my email account, like Outlook.com. I have calendar and reminders that are stored there as well. You want to make sure that all the accounts you used to have set up are still there in case it was syncing not just to iCloud, but to other places. Do you use Outlook?
Yeah. No, I don't. I use Gmail on one of them. And
well, it might be synced to Google. So go to your Gmail account and look at the notes there. There's a notes section there. They may have ended up there.
All right.
So that's part of the problem is, and this is always the challenge with Apple. They want to make it easy for you, but by doing that, they kind of hide the details. And,
yeah, well, these were just gone. And
it's frustrating. It may be that they are in, if you had set up other accounts, notes with other accounts like Gmail, if you sign in with Gmail, in fact, if you look at your Gmail account, you'll see there's a bunch of switches, mail, but also calendar, contacts, notes. So sometimes those notes were stored in those other accounts. So look at whatever other accounts you have.
Do I sign in there through?
Yeah. No, sign in with your regular Gmail account. Yeah. Just go to your Gmail and there's a notes section and see if they're there.
Okay.
They might have ended up there. So look at iCloud, look at Gmail. Any other service you used for notes could have those reminders as well. That's part of the confusion is reminders, notes, they're the same? Well, yeah, but not. It's very confusing. They don't make it easy, that's for sure. Last call of the day from Geneva, New York. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Leo.
What can I do for you today?
I went out and got a TP-Link AX6000 Wi-Fi router, and I found out after the fact that I cannot disable QoS in their interface. I got the most recent firmware on there and everything. My old router was a Nighthawk, a Netgear Nighthawk, which I was able to disable QoS.
That's right.
And that helped with the throttling. But I'm finding significant throttling because of the QoS, no matter what setting I try.
So when you say throttling, what do you mean? Some devices are slower than others?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the buffering and stuff, and it's not through the Wi-Fi. I have a direct connect, for example, Roku Ultra, that goes directly into,
It's hardware. It's Ethernet connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I called support and everything. They were not so helpful, and they sent me the wrong directions for the wrong model.
It's a Chinese company. They're inexpensive. I know the Wirecutter recommends them. I've used them, but I have to say your Netgear probably was a better router than these TP-Link routers.
Yeah, I'm finding that out. But on my Samsung Note 10 Plus, the Netgear mobile app bombed out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure what you can do if they don't give you a setting to disable it. My experience with QoS is it's usually worthless. It stands for quality of service, and the idea is the router could prioritize certain devices. In this case, it sounds like it's working. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a fix for you, though. Hey, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful... I got to run, but hang on. I'll talk to you off the air. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk next week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry, I had to wrap up there.
No, that's okay. I was just hoping that being on air and make me coast to coast.
Yeah, annoy them. Ping.
Yeah, coax them into upgrading their firmware or something.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to. I mean, I don't. There may be sometimes you could put third-party firmware on routers, like Tomato or DD-WRT. You might check and see if those are available because. Actually, yes, Mike in Rhode Island says he's using DD-WRT on his TP-Link. That would be a fix.
Yeah, does that kill the warranty or anything?
No, because I mean, yes, who cares, right?
Right.
It won't brick it. If you go to dd-wrt.com, it's a open source firmware that goes on many routers and gives you much more capability. If you can do it on a TP-Link, that would certainly solve it. And you know what? You can always restore the firmware later if you decide to return it.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I would try that. You sound pretty technical. You'll like...
I do IT for a living.
Yeah. Well, you'll love DD-WRT then.
Okay.
Yeah. Check and see they have a database of routers it works with, but Mike says it works with his TP-Link. So.
Super.
Nice. Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on. and on. And of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.